What's up, Phil James?
You are looking at a live view of the Falcon 9 rocket on SpaceX Launch Pad 39A, preparing for liftoff in just about 10 minutes from now at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Universal Coordinated Time. Welcome to the live webcast of the U.S. Air Force Orbital Test Vehicle 5 mission. I'm Michael Hammersley, a materials engineer in our electronics group. And today, SpaceX is launching the U.S. Air Force's X-37B orbital test vehicle from historic Launch Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This will be the fifth launch of the X-37B and its first on a Falcon 9. The orbital test vehicle is an experimental program for a reliable, reusable, unmanned space test platform for the U.S. Air Force. The primary objectives of the orbital test vehicle are twofold: to demonstrate reusable spacecraft technologies for America's future in space, and to operate experiments which can be returned to and then examined on Earth. For today's mission, we will also be attempting to land and recover the first stage. We'll continue to cover this secondary objective once primary mission coverage has concluded. The first stage will be landing back at Landing Zone 1, or LZ-1, and today's attempt will be in daylight, which should produce some pretty incredible footage. In the meantime, keep an eye on the countdown clock at the top right of your screen, and you can follow along with the major milestones using the timeline at the bottom of your screen.
Alright. I wanted to let you guys hear the little summary there. The orbital test vehicle, X-37B. This was launched a couple days before Irma hit. So, yeah, I'm a little behind on this. But it has a landing. Yeah, it has a landing and everything. And the landing of the stage 1. And then also, they released this X-37B orbital test plane. It's a low Earth orbit, supposedly low Earth orbit plane, and it's unmanned, and it's made by Boeing. Now, there's a lot of talk about what this thing is, or what it's up there for, or what it's doing, you know. There's like a little 2-minute video, which if I remember, I'll put a link to it. It says what it's for and whatnot. I personally think it has something to do with the geoengineering. I personally also believe that it had something to do with Irma, because it was launched, like I said, just a day or two prior to Irma happening. You know what I mean? So, like, actually Irma hitting Florida. I mean, Irma ended up being kind of a big fluke, hyped up, you know, by the media into everybody being petrified for their lives. And Irma ended up not being nothing of what we all thought, you know. But then again, we all get our news and our updates from the same place, you know, television or YouTube from television channels. So, who would have thought, right? They made it seem hardcore and crazy, and really, in all reality, it was pretty mellow. So, I mean, not in the Caribbean, it wasn't. And the Bible prophecies came true in that too, you know, talking about the shores drying and, you know, the water being wasted and dryeth up, you know. So that happened. There's a couple scriptures from Isaiah and another one from Job that referred to the water drying up on the shores. And that's exactly what happened, you know. Pretty wild. And I made a video about that too. It's funny because, you know, gravity makes water defy its physics by finding and maintaining its level when unmanipulated. But some hurricane-forced 185 mile per hour sustained winds can make water just defy gravity and its physics altogether. A little strange, but whatever. Now, with this video here, I'm probably going to skip forward a little bit. We have 7 minutes and 35 seconds until this launches. But like I said, it was, to launch the orbital test vehicle X-37B, and it has a ridiculous landing in this video, so I figured I'd make this real quick. Yeah, like I said, I personally believe X-37B, the Boeing orbital test vehicle or whatever, had something to do with Irma and geoengineering, because it was launched 2 days before. So basically, SpaceX launches it, and then they land their stage 1, and then they have to rush to get it all moved before Irma hit. You know what I mean? So they have launch pads all over. The last SpaceX launch I covered was SpaceX Pad 4, and that was from the West Coast. This one is the one in Florida, 39A, and it's where other space missions from NASA were launched. So here.
The X-37B Orbital Test Vehicle, or OTV, is the nation's first unmanned spaceplane. Managed by the U.S. Air Force Rapid Capabilities Office, the Boeing-built X-37B is a highly flexible testbed platform for a variety of on-orbit demonstrations. This reusable system allows hosted experiments to be returned, inspected, modified, and flown again at dramatically reduced cost.
The X-37B testbed platform is unique because we can tailor our missions to specific user needs and return experiments back for post-flight inspection.
The X-37B is designed to fly and test new technologies, reduce technical risk early in product design, and validate system performance. It has completed 4 successful flights, accumulating over 2,000 days of on-orbit demonstrations. The vehicle provides experiments with power, data, commanding, thermal, and attitude control. The X-37B has repeatedly achieved rapid experiment integration timelines, proving itself to be a responsive test platform.
Leveraging the existing X-37B infrastructure and reusing the platform allows users to focus their investment on the experiment and developing new technologies.
The Air Force Research Laboratory Hall Effect Thruster experiment highlights the value of this reusable spaceplane. This experiment, flown on OTV-4, validated performance enhancements that could only be tested in a space environment. Utilizing the X-37B enabled this complex experiment to be flown in less than 24 months. OTV-5 continues to advance the performance and flexibility of the X-37B as a space technology demonstrator. Today's launch of OTV-5 is the first flight of an X-37B on a SpaceX Falcon 9. The ability to launch the X-37B on multiple platforms will provide responsive and assured access to space. Following the OTV-4 landing in Florida, the program is consolidating launch, recovery, refurbishment, and experiment integration in the repurposed orbiter processing facility. This consolidation reduces processing time and positions the program to be even more responsive.
The reliability, reusability, and responsiveness of the X-37B will fundamentally change how we perform future space missions.
The X-37B, flying tomorrow's technologies today.
Basically,
land today, this will be SpaceX's.
that was a whole lot of nothing. They didn't really tell us anything with that little short clip there, you know what I mean? Reliable, responsive, and, so what's it doing? Well, it runs experiments, okay, so it's kind of secretive, you know what I mean? At least they claim. So, strange, kind of like a orbital drone. And it's very strange that it's launched here 2, maybe 3 days before Irma was about to hit Florida. It was really weird. So I wanted to go ahead and cover this one. We have 3 minutes until this launch, so let's go ahead and skip forward, shall we?
T-minus 30 seconds.
Game time, y'all. Put your game faces on.
Stage 1 pressing 2, liftoff pressures.
You know, and the other strange thing here, I don't see that X-37B strapped to the side of this large phallus of a rocket.
6, 5, 4.
Could be wrong. Let's look closely.
1.
I mean, you mean to tell me that unmanned space orbital plane is inside that cap, that nose cone, that head of that phallus? And this is what gets me every time. Good view there. Look how real that clearly looks. You know what I mean? Looks like it's literally being inserted over a dark grayish blue sky. Always going in and out of focus, always losing the view. There you go. Yeah, so where's the 37B?
We've had successful liftoff of the Falcon 9. Look closely, we're about to move through supersonic. You may actually see the vapor cone that forms from the shockwave if we're lucky. Otherwise, we're coming up shortly on max Q, which is maximum aerodynamic pressure, the point at which Falcon 9 is pushing hardest against the atmosphere.
What the hell was that little thing right there? Did you see that? Like that camera maneuver? It's like...
engine chill, which prepares the second stage engine for ignition. Main engine cutoff is coming up in about 40 seconds from now, shortly followed by both stage separation and then second engine start. We'll be concluding coverage of the primary mission at that point.
It's like, what exactly? It's really strange the way this looks. Every single Falcon 9 launch, Falcon Heavy launch, it doesn't matter. All of them look very, very strange. The series of events that go down, the way the thruster looks, and once again, rear-facing camera. That's incredible, isn't it? We need a rear-facing camera, not a forward-facing camera.
Separation and ignition. Notice the vehicle is currently, or the first stage is currently doing a fast flip maneuver and a boost back burn. The fast flip is to get it headed back towards landing zone 1 as quickly as possible, and the boost back burn, or to get it in the right orientation to head back, and the boost back burn actually pushes it back towards landing zone 1. We've got 3 engines burning at the moment, so we're in the outer reaches of the atmosphere, so you can't actually see any visible flame, but you'll notice indications that the engines are on just above the first stage there in this shot.
Stage 1 boost back burner shut down.
We also had the
boost back burn has now ended. Notice the vehicle is still gliding.
we also just had the launch, the manned launch of the Soyuz rocket.
There you saw the grid fins just opened up. These grid
That was
fins
to
are,
put humans back on that ISS that, you know, floats around all the time, 250 miles above the surface of Earth. You know, I say this for every SpaceX launch and landing. Those little so-called grid fins would not guide that thing all the way back to Earth, especially in a vacuum.
Those control the orientation of the vehicle.
It's like,
when the grid fins aren't able to.
you know what I mean? Look how small. You know, look how small they are.
Atmosphere to operate.
The landing legs stick out further than the grid fins do. And they always, the what's it called, that last burn that they do here, the entry burns, they never look like what you would think a rocket going in reverse
Continuing its
firing would look like, ever.
towards landing zone 1, starting to descend back towards Earth. We're still about a minute and a half or so away from the re-entry burn, which is going to slow the vehicle down to only a couple times the speed of sound before re-entering the atmosphere.
And here's my biggest problem. They're launching this low Earth orbit, unmanned, orbital plane. You know what I mean? And they don't show it at all. Like, wouldn't you think that's what we would want to see? I say it in every single launch I cover. But no, they always give us the stage 1 falling back to Earth. We've seen this. You know, how many times this year? Oh, this will be their 15th or 16th successful landing. Why would we want to see this again? Why wouldn't we want to see the orbital test vehicle, the X-37B, be launched into orbit
See the speed of
at 86 football fields a second?
The re-entry burn is going to slow that back down in order to keep those aerodynamic forces upon re-entry at a minimum. Those cold gas thrusters still adjusting the attitude of the first stage.
Entry startup.
There's the re-entry burn. This will last for another 15 seconds or so, rapidly decreasing the entering velocity.
Entry burn shut down.
Rapidly decreasing it.
Successful conclusion of the re-entry burn. You can notice that's ground underneath Falcon 9 there, heading toward landing zone 1. We're about to slow back down through the speed of sounds. You notice those vibrations as that is coming up.
Stage 1 ANTS head stage.
Stage 1 is transonic.
Coming up in just a few seconds now, we're going to begin the landing burn. That will slow the vehicle down for a gentle touchdown.
Landing burn startup.
Now watch this landing.
This is a single engine burn, which allows for more control.
You
And
see
then you
that?
can see it on the screen on your right there, descending through the clouds,
Yeah, through the
headed
clouds.
towards the concrete pad.
That's absolute proof, right?
Landing legs deployed.
There you go.
Falcon has successfully landed. Landing operator, please move to procedure 11.100 detention 3.
And there we had it. You can see the landing legs deployed. That's Falcon 9 standing proud at landing zone 1. At that point, or at this point, with the successful landing of the first stage, we'll be ending today's webcast. It was a very smooth countdown. Everything proceeded nominally.
Nominally.
Weather was, looking potentially a bit tricky with those clouds, but ended up being a go. Smooth first stage ascent, smooth second stage separation and start.
Shut up. Now let's recap. Didn't show the X-37B at all, even in or around that rocket. Not at all. And if they're trying to say it was in that nose of that Falcon 9, you know, the stage 2, the part up top, if they were trying to say it's inside that, I'm calling bullshit. 1. And 2, that landing was about the absolute worst footage of any sort of landing that they have claimed so far. You know what I mean? Did you see how far away it was? Like, and wouldn't you think that since you know it's a rocket and it's falling back to Earth at unbelievable speeds, unbelievable velocity, that those landing legs would like deploy slightly sooner, because all they would do is cause more drag, you know what I mean? So it'd slow it down, because they're not technically aerodynamic. They're there to land, you know what I mean? The landing wheels on a plane get pulled up into the plane because they cause so much drag. Now you would want that with a rocket falling to Earth, right? But no, they deployed them in the last second, supposedly, you know, and just everything about this is absolutely strange. Now, if that unmanned space orbital X-37B plane is real, you know, and it's up there somewhere or whatever, I don't think it's exactly where they say. But I do believe that it would be very possible for us to have some sort of a high altitude drone that, you know, is zipping around the Earth right now and effectively doing something with the worldwide geoengineering that's been going on like absolutely crazy right now. So I don't know, I just wanted to show this because they absolutely show you nothing in this. And that's a major red flag, you know. Always the backward facing cameras, always. That will never change, ever, because they can't show you the front, you know. And then you look at the rockets, they don't even look real when they're launched at all, period. Not at all. And, I mean, it is photoshopped, you know, because it has to be. But, you heard the guy. That'll wrap up the orbital test vehicle launch of the X-37B and the Falcon 9 that carried it. That'll wrap that up for today. Like I said, this happened a couple days before Irma, which makes me feel that it has something to do with geoengineering, because they launched from Florida, supposedly released it, and then had to move everything in Florida before Irma made landfall. So, a little strange, everything about this launch. Alright, y'all. Have a good day. Keep it real. Phil James. And I'm out. Peace.